are a good, worthy opposition, I've got to say. Dropping Jeremy from the last roster, bringing in Brian this time around. This is the former Level Esports squad who honestly got a good scoreline up against Leave No Witness, who obviously went on to win last month and previous months prior to that as well. Reconic Esports, 76% voted on event.brawlstars.com feel like they will take this win. But again, I've got to say, Level Esports can definitely put up a better showing than that 24% for me. I mean, they did go all the distance last month, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do fare again. Bans are in. Ruffs, 8-Bit, Bell, the side of Shield Gang as Shelly, Lola, and Squeak, Eve with that first pick. And again, it is a very common occurrence on Safe Zone having E first pick. I'm still not convinced by it. Nonetheless, a great brawler, going to have a great deal amount of maneuverability in that mid as a result of it. But Cordelius not banned out, and I'm just saying, like, it's been banned out every single match bar one today, and it is such a great defensive brawler to have on Safe Zone. Watching the EU and MENA region in the Snapdragon Pro Series just last week, we just saw how effective it could be on defense, especially with some tanky brawlers coming in. But it feels like a bit of a safer option to start things off from Shield Game. Brock coming in. As we can see, the win rates from the global perspective of things in the qualifying stages across the world. Shelly up there for sure, but banned out this time around. 8-Bit banned out. Colette, though, not unavailable.
Yeah, Colette definitely a look here. Not the best in the spawners, though, I will say, especially when there's 4 little Eve hatchlings on the ground. It can be a bit overwhelming, but Colette can more than make up for it in the damage category. Also kind of blocks the other team out from entertaining the idea of something tankier, which every once in a while you will see on this map. Bonnie now a selection here, and while I don't think Colette would be the best into somebody like Brock, I think taking it into not only this map, not only for this mode, but also into Bonnie could make a lot of sense here for Reconic.
Yeah, interesting choice. Like you said, rightly so. It's going to be interesting to see what brawler's going to match up into Eve, and I think Bonnie's not going to have the best of times either, to be honest. Colette, yeah, it's a match. I don't mind that from Reconic at all. I think it's a pretty good, safe pair of hands, especially with the gotcha gadget. You can get so much value on the healing side of it. But nothing too aggressive yet from Reconic. Pretty much the kind of range game that we tend to see more often than not. I'd like to see something a bit more daring join this comp, but Piper, that was not what was on my mind, to be honest. Piper's been a bit of a high-risk brawler to have. It makes a lot of sense to pair in with the Eve, though, so I didn't necessarily mind it. I kind of expected, actually, to be honest, like a buzz pick from JXCR here. We've seen him be so aggressive with those up-close and personal brawlers, but the long-ranged approach seems to be what Reconic Esports are feeling more so today. But Shield Gang got their final pick, and it could be something of an influential one if they really do see through the weaknesses in the long-ranged affair. Piper can obviously be pushed up against pretty nicely. Nani can be doing some work. It's not necessarily my go-to idea here, but the warp portal blast in, TP onto the safe can just bring back the flow of action more frequently than not, and it's definitely a great pairing in terms of a matchup to the Piper. I mean, we tend to see it played more often out in things like Shooting Star. It's a map with a bit more of, sort of walls and that kind of thing to get in the way of the shots, but it's an interesting choice here. I didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming, but I think it's welcomed for me. I think Nani, similar to how I feel about Brock, Colette does great damage on that high safe, oftentimes used in the tankier brawler. So Bonnie, one with a lot of HP. Colette doesn't mind that as much, but Nani is going to be a problem for both Piper and Colette here. The extra range, the heavy hitting damage, and on top of that, has that teleportation advantage, like you mentioned too, can just travel across the map like it's nothing. I actually really like that as a sneaky last pick.
Well, an interesting choice for Brian to break open the map, because it's just going to feed into much more of an ability for Christian to land these shots, but she does so again with the auto-aimer. Great homing recipe going into play. Now, shots were not quite on point there from JXCR, just coming short on the safe. Now the damage starts to rain in. 84% left now, but look at this. All 3 members of Reconic focusing their entire attention onto it. Damage gears raining in as well, and already Shield Gang on the ropes.
That's a heavy hitting start here for Reconic Esports. Again, I like the Nani on paper. I can see the vision for the Brock on paper. Gotta hit those shots, and that's what we're starting to see from Shield Gang now. RHC right-hand side playing the Eve here, using the spawners. Rocket Rain going down as Brian's gonna be able to delete those instantly. Weepy now with an opportunity here too. Christian with some nice shots, though, gonna make Weepy reconsider. Still dives in, though. A lot of 1K shots going down. Plenty of damage being dealt, but nonetheless, still a sizable lead here for Reconic.
Big hits coming in there. Christian will fall. The Peep as well be working his way around. Actually connects with the wall, but gets Reese on the way through as well. So he'll be healing up in the meanwhile for the respawn in of Shield Gang now. Maybe juking really nicely there for the Bonnie, who's got obviously a slow and sluggish pace. Another homemade recipe from Christian just eases up that left-hand side very efficiently. So, damage gear again for Christian, and a big push for his Reese gets to pick up 3 versus 1 here. JXCR got your gadget there for survivability, gets another one off as well. Won't find the third, but nonetheless, a great position here to finish things off.
On their end, no draft to me is just above and beyond the other, but at least in terms of mechanics and how they played it, Reconic looked tough to beat there.
Again, that same opening hand from Brian to open things up. It will help out Todd for sure, but that's a great way. Well, return to center as well, clears things up. 3 versus 2 now. JXCR just trying to buy his time here. But Weepy already locking on now to the safe. There's 5% dealt and a good amount of control and positioning power on the side of Shield getting a much better start in that respect. Christian as well, still struggling to get back into this game already. And that's much, much better. Shield getting learning from those past mistakes, it seems.
Weepy with a nice dive in here too. Ooh, the damage pouring in. Shield Gang coming alive. Now a Rocket Rain left-hand side as well. Rock dropping some rockets on the map here too. Nice connection as well. Brian looking good right now. The connection there and showcasing why Nani can be valuable into somebody like Piper. Return to Tinder Gadget can be very lethal into somebody like Christian here. Another nice pickup here. Shield Gang not letting go of this mid control. In fact, they're dealing a ton of damage in the process.
Oh! JXCR there with a beautiful super coming slap bang back into the heap and just deflecting it completely from the table. Love that from him. Christian though can't quite find the homemade recipe pickup onto Brian on the left hand side, and now JXCR healing up, coming back into the mid. Rocket Fuel will do nothing at all as a shot from JXCR will land prior to going on the super as well. Gotcha Gadget coming in. A great amount of pressure from Reconic, and it's not over yet.
They're just letting it loose now, close to tying things up. That Piper shot will be the one that seals the deal there. 45% for each side. I love what Reconic did there too. They used the Eve super and led the charge going on offense with 4 spawners on the map and a lot of single shots going down from the other end. It can be a lot to deal with. So you add 4 mini brawlers on the map with the 3 that you got. Might be seeing something similar here. They're going to be using them as meat shields almost just to climb up the map a little bit. Colette popped off there too. Christian dealing some damage as well. It's starting to add up quickly. Still staying alive here. Reconic as well. The shots flying through. 0%. Reconic Esports SA, nice comeback there in game number 2.
Well, Shield Gang had some moments, but they just seemed a bit flustered when it came to their defenses, and that's where Reconic seemed at home, didn't they? I mean, when it started to crumble down, it really again, and just this next set. Let's see though, Crystal Arcade, the gem grab is where this draft will land, and you know, ultimately, I want to see a bit more of a stronger mid than we saw in South America East earlier today. It's definitely favor the Stu pick more often than not, and I think the long-ranged approach is definitely a better one. Is Cordelius banned? That is the first question. It is on the side of Shield Gang. Ruffs coming in. Love that for Reconic. A brawler which does sometimes escape through the draft here. Not sure on the Macy ban here myself. That some kind of case towards it being okay. I'm very much not. Sweet. I love that coming in on the side of Shield Gang. Crow as well. Wasn't banned out here. A big brawler on the rates and the ban rates in this region, and Gus as well. This is a great draft, Kenny.
I can't complain about any of these 4 picks. I mean, obviously you see there too, Squeak with one of the highest win rates, and I think for good reason right now. Crow, one of my favorite brawlers currently in Brawl Stars in general. I think the Carl pairing with Gus makes a lot of sense too. You know, you mentioned a little bit earlier in SA East, we saw something a little more unorthodox from somebody like Team Mystic, ran something along the lines of a Stu, an Otis, and a Carl. Here, they're just keeping it simple. It's Gus, who's a good mid, can dish out the bubble as well, so it's going to power up Carl. Colonel Ruffs with the bounce shot in the left-hand lane can do well and power up his teammates too. On the other end, it's just a bunch of good brawlers. So I think this one is another interesting one, and just I'm a little shocked in the sense that this region's shown some pretty wild drafts here today, and we're just keeping it textbook.
Quite like everything I see, for sure. I think this pro slow is going to have to be on point. But having said that, you know, defense booster as a gadget is quite common in South America, and I would not be at all surprised. But I think with the Carl on the other side of things, slow is pretty needed. I want to see some good cookie poppers as well on the side of the Gus there. The Reconic, you land those in the right timing, the gem carrier could be definitely at a disadvantage very, very quickly. I'm assuming an RT mid, but you never really know in South America. They like to mix things up time and time again, but Squeak on the lane. Can be mid as well, though, having said that, on the side of Shield Gang. But this is definitely a bit of a scary comp to face off against. I'm a bit more in favor of what Reconic are bringing to the table here. But nonetheless, if Shield Gang can just like harness in some good communication here and work out to iron some of the issues that we saw in the first set, then things might be able to turn. For Reconic, though, some good starting pressure. I do love the look of this draft. Yeah, I mean, everything with Carl and Gus and Ruffs is going to do well as far as I'm concerned. Jumping in a little bit late here. Christian there, obviously had a very good start. 8 gems in the pocket. Toxic on the top right-hand side could go down, and that will be a gem handed over. But Reconic looking for countdown here, and looks like Shieldgang putting up some resistance now.
Looks like Christian's powered up. We see a wall break top right as well. They've got an extra dog treat as well, so they can help somebody else out as well. Nice job of Christian there, keeping himself alive. Low HP, though, needs to dodge these shots. Well played. Going to keep himself up with 9 gems. RHC taking some heavy hits as well. They need to find their footing, but really all they need is 1 gem and to walk away. So still strong stance here for Christian, especially after that cookie popper.
Yeah, solid connection, and it is defense booster being ran on Sweepy there as well, but countdown for Reconic. 10 gems, and there's plenty more still to go. Damage gears rolling in all round, but there's no time realistically here for Shieldgang to get a push. Weeby needs the super to jump in and do anything at all. With no slow, it's going to be very hard to make much more of it unless he wants to go in with no gadget at all anyway. Not going to happen.
Before they made several grand finals this year, looking as strong as ever. And again, I think that's the confidence boost that they need. An immediate dive to the left-hand side, looking to fight against Squeak. Nice cutoff there, though. I think Todd using a gadget just to try and help the cause here, being forced away because Christian's joining in the fight. A little bit from Colonel Ruffs here from the gadget to push them back as well. And now we're kind of starting to see what likely occurred in game number 1 and how Reconic got that control so early.
Christian low, but another good gadget there to keep Brian at bay. We'd be having a tough time, and pops the gadget down. I'm not really too convinced on it. I mean, it will make him survive on, but in that regard, I'm just going down and coming back with full HP. We'd be more or less the same amount of time spent. Brian's in a world of hurt here as Christian's tapping to the right-hand side. Will scave away from it, but the finish is there, and a jump in again. Weeby, I don't really kind of make sense of a lot of these plays. You're wasting supers and gadgets, and for Crow, if you're going to run defense as a shield kind of option, then you need to go to the gem area and come out with the good.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, you got to use those valuable resources in really smart ways. Right now, though, the red roster trying to gain some map control here. Christian just refusing to go down. Now a branch out on the right-hand side. Weepy not going to have a ton of fun with this. A kooky popper, a super coming in from Carl as well. Toxic goes down. Brian, though, the main gym carrier, low HP, forced to go away. Attempt there to get out of that situation. Christian keeping an eye on these gyms, though. Won't go for him, and I think a smart decision here. Don't risk them all for just a couple here, especially when you've got the lead. The overall sketch score is in your favor, and when you can hit shots like that.
Great stuff. I've got to say that watching the Crow into the gas with the shield is kind of hard. Just takes so long to whittle Christian down, but he's doing a great job on the left-hand side, though. Reese goes in, Whippy goes down, and that's going to put pressure onto Brian. The pitch is strong there, and Reese and Christian giving it their all. Oh, perfect timing as well, and Reese knows it. The jump in from Whippy is going to do nothing at all. Maybe Reese might burn down here, but it won't make a difference. The countdown will remain, and again, plenty of time for Reconic. Fantastic value coming in as well on this push. It's not really going to be able to avail to much. Shieldgang really not able to do much here as Reconic take yet another set.
A very convincing set at that, too. I think Reconic are looking like the stronger team right now. We gave a lot of credit to Shieldgang, and I think deservingly so. It's a strong roster, been solid throughout the year, but Reconic Esports just coming out with some strength that...
Ready for it. And so far, Shieldgang haven't really been making the decisions. But let's see. Going into Hot Zone next for Open Zone, the map. It's now or never for them. I want to see them start to bring this one back around because they're not looking like the same team that we saw last month.
Yeah, just not as impressed with them this month. And again, they've got an opportunity here down 2-0. It's going to take a lot, but if there's one region where I can count on at least one reverse sweep a month, it's this one. They will have that opportunity, but it's easier said than done, of course. Reconic Esports up 2-0 going into a set 3, patiently awaiting to try and make it to another grand finals. Crow going to be the first overall selection. We've talked about this brawler a lot here today, Ark, but this is a map especially where I think it makes a lot of sense. I like Crow in the current state of the meta, but in a wide open map on Hot Zone specifically, it's as good as it gets for Crow.
Yeah, it's going to be a good spot, but the PAM is worrying me a little bit here because if Shieldgang want to go for that, they can get some great value with both defensive and aggressive healing stations, and Crow into that can definitely struggle, but leading into that, Bonnie, okay. I mean, it's going to be great on this map no matter what, but, you know, the question already here is, you know, in terms of gadget for Crow, defense booster, slow. It kind of has to be slow, right? But I know this region is going to bring defense booster in yet again. Shield Gang, though, Stu is not banned here. It's a great brawler to have on open zone, and I wonder whether they are thinking that another high-picked brawler in this region for sure. Great to see the Cordelius ban and the Shelly ban and the Amber ban here. All three brawlers that can really thrive. And yeah, and here's going to be Pam. You see, that should have a better time of things. But at the moment, the way the Reconic are playing, maybe they'll be able to outplay it with their mechanics. That tends to be more often not the approach here, but that is reading through the draft nicely for Shield Gang.
Yeah, I think he made a good shot with the Pam, and it's clearly going to come through here. It's a brawler that I think saw on this map, and we even saw banned a little bit earlier today. I mean, we've seen a few brawlers that succeeded here today and this weekend in general hit that ban count. Shelly, Amber, Lola, all being those brawlers. Colette now going to be a selection here for Reconic. I'm interested to see how this goes down. Another 8-bit pick here, too. It's one that surprised me a little bit earlier today, but again, with the teleportation, it made a little more sense. Once I saw it once, I could get behind it a little more. I still don't think it's going to have the easiest time, but at least I can understand where these teams are coming from.
Love that pick. I was literally thinking it's going to be great against the 8-bit. I mean, we've seen this before already today from Clash, and to their credit, it worked. I'm still on the fence with 8-bit on open zone. I think it's kind of wild, but I can understand the thought process with it. I mean, TPing into the map is definitely a fast way in, but that belt, I mean, realistically, you're kind of doing yourself this service from being within that close proximity to your damage station, and the plugged-in star power is going to kind of be needed for the speed, and I'm not really sure. Realistically, if Shield Gang play it right, that's the kind of big reservation that I have here. Their comp should really do a lot better into what Reconic could bring to the table here, but the way that Shield Gang have been approaching things, a bit questionable for the most part. Mythic gear and rolling for JXCR here. Brian already tapping things very early on here, and Todd as well, closing in on Christian with Brian. Good landing shots for the most part early on here from Shield Gang, and the first death is going to be on the side of Reconic, a jump from Todd. That's a great start. A fantastic opening statement from Shield Gang.
Yeah, I think that if Reconic are going to win this, they're going to have to more than earn it. I love the shot with Bell that you brought up too, the distance that it can have on Crow, the bounce shot that it brings against a slow 8-bit, outranges somebody like Colette, who doesn't do well in the long-range brawler. So I do think Shield Gang, in theory, should have a really good opportunity to take this. But despite all that, it's a 10+% lead now. Christian getting the job done here as well. Ultimately a trade, but 8-bit still hunkered down and not afraid to fight against Todd. There's that teleport that can do so well on this map. Christian there to swoop up a kill, and just like that, it's still all Reconic.
Lovely little cheek cartridge there just to swiftly get back around. And I'm surprised to be seeing, the boosted booster as a star power choice for Reese, but hey, it brings in more of a radius into the mid, and that's going to only aid your teammates as Reese stays firm in that. Moving swiftly on to a potential match point situation here, as Shield Gang just really haven't found time on the zone, and that is where the objective plays out. Now some Bell value in from Brian, a good mark on JXCR, tapping his way through, and you can just see the difference that really does make. Kristen should falter as well. That is a fantastic turnaround, but Shield Gang have got to keep this up, as we've seen Reconic can turn things around so quickly here.
I think a good opportunity for Shield Gang now. They've got control, they've got possession, and climbing out of this spawn side can be really difficult. It took Bonnie a second to come back there because it is a long walk from that spawn, but now piercing shots going down for 8-bit. That's going to be a big one there, and I'm sure Shield Gang going to be feeling the repercussions of that. 75% now, an aggressive turret being put down for 8-bit here too, lasering the right-hand side. These guys can do no wrong. Only about 10% left for Reconic Esports.
Oh no, Todd, you're not going to be able to get into the mix at all. There it is. Surely Reconic. It'd be a terrible way to go because, again, Level Esports last month had a fantastic performance against Leave No Witness, a team which are in the best position of obtaining a last chance qualification spot here today. And it's just not looking like it's going to go their way. Certainly not with that opening stance, as Todd will go down very quickly. And it is the slow there from JXCR. Look at the value that it brings. It just goes to show that sometimes South America can make that choice over from that shield.
And I think the wise one as well. I think the slowing toxin is so good, especially on a map like this. The dive in from Christian, the connection there as well. Todd receiving so much damage. Another one from Christian too. Lights out with the supers from Colette, using the gadget to keep himself healthy as well. And another super. Ooh, just trying to call his shot, I think, there. And I can't say I blame him. It's worked out so far. 50+ % points, and Todd finally touching down and claiming the first percentage points for Shield Gang, but it won't be for long.
Yeah, not for long at all. I mean, there's just no real team synergy right now from Shield Gang, and they're going to need it. They're going to be able to get something substantial in terms of objective. 11% now, creeping closer, but it's the positioning that's most important here. Weepy might fall to 10 HP and he will burn down, but JXCR surviving on now, healing up. That shot from Brian was crucial to slow the advance. The connections onto Christian and Reese are great as well. Brian is doing wondrous work, but he needs his team there as well, and it's Christian in the mid. He's able to get down to 81%. Weepy in the 2 versus 1. Should be going for Reese, but he's spending his time with JXCR. 10% now is all that is needed for Reconic. And surely, with this amount of defensive measures, they will be able to seal it in a sweep. Christian holding things on with one last super, and then it's done. Reconic Esports move on to today's grand finals in convincing fashion.
Well, for a region of set 5s, we're not going to get that to kick things off for semi-final number 1. Reconic Esports clearly want another attempt at a grand finals, and I think they more than